No idea what I'm going to say. Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Louisville. We just had an interesting conversation about stepping into who we are and being brave enough to be who we are and have a voice. And that takes time to do. Now, what's interesting is I've had so much input this week. I got notes, I've got ideas, things that happened this morning. I'm full of things to talk about. So I'm just going to blabber, okay? Now, we've been just looking at the 5 principles of unity, okay? And there they are. And first principle, and this is like, let me digress. One of the problems in unity for years was the fact that there was no written doctrine. Everybody get that? And doctrine means, here's what we believe. Now, here's the problem with that. Charles Fillmore and Margaret Fillmore had a philosophy and an idea. And that they believed God was everywhere present, and they believed that we were part of God and could experience God, which was crazy, way out stuff. But it was part of the new metaphysical movement in the United States. And people kept asking, well, what do we believe? What do we believe? Okay, and they resisted it. They did not want to codify things. Anybody agree to be a church in the United States? A lot of people feel we have to believe this. Okay, and God help you if you don't believe that, you're not part of us. Which is automatic separation from who we really are. And this went on for years and years and years. And as new people came in, they always wanted to know, okay, what do we believe? The problem is what you believe is part of what you believe and who you are and who you accept as who you are. And it takes an amazing step in consciousness and awareness to realize that not only the word child of God, but I am an expression of God. And that's huge beyond where thinking was at the time. And they resisted it. Okay, so that unity was just a group of people that got together and studied the Word. And what is the Word? God is good, all good. And what's in the Bible and what Jesus taught, codified into a metaphysical interpretation. Okay? And in I think it was 1996, the granddaughter of Charles Fillmore, Myrtle Fillmore, Connie Fillmore, she was president of the board of Unity. It was called Unity, I forget, it was a different name, Association of Unity Churches. And at that time, she said, okay, well, we'll look at that idea. And that's when these 5 principles were put together, okay? So Connie Fillmore is actually the person that this came from. And she put together a committee. And Unity is still an organization in transition to the highest understanding. Because Charles Fillmore and others have said this is how it is, subject to further interpretation. Because we are growing, we are understanding, we are learning new things. Anybody agree quantum physics has thrown a whole thing into this whole religious stuff and made more of a scientific understanding of how the mind works, which then parallels with what Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were teaching and we're working with today. Okay? It's amazing to me. It really is. So what we're talking about today is these 5 principles, and we're on to the 4th principle. Now, the first principle was God is good and only good, and all there is good. There ain't anything else. Now, ain't is me. Because I like to do things differently so it goes in bonk. Okay? So number 1, so that everything is God. Everything is God, which is, wow. And number 2, I am created in the image of God. Okay? Our essence is of God, which means essence is who we are. And in Genesis it says you're created in the image of the likeness of God. So step 1, step 2. Okay? Step 3 is we are co-creators with God. Okay? So that's a big step. So there's the process we have to look at and understand. understand. Not believe, understand. So that as part of my soul, that everything is good. Next is our essence of God. And then number 3 is I am creating, we are co-creators for the world with God. Remember that? That's a big step. Do you understand that process? And here's number 4. Okay, if I'm a co-creator with God, how do I get in alignment with God? And how do I make it work? Because it ain't working now. Because my life's a mess. I have sickness. I'm broke. And my family doesn't like me. Or whatever it is that we're dealing with. So how do I get back to what's called homeostasis? Or align with God, which is number 4. Through prayer and meditation, we align our heart mind with God. Denials and affirmations are the tools we use. So I'm going to deal with the first part through prayer and meditation. We align our heart mind with God. Isn't that interesting? That's how important this message is. Yeah! That's how I know coincidence folks. Do you understand that? It's crazy. It's hard to believe that every little thing that happens is not coincidence. Okay, anyway. Everybody here? Now the next step is how do we become who we really are? See, if I'm a co-creator with God, how do I do that? Because I'm sure not doing that now the way it looks at my life. Okay? So through prayer and alignment. And now the next thing it says is heart-mind. Now, the heart is here, the mind is here. So what's heart-mind? It could be the connection of both. Now, what's interesting is, I'm not going to go ahead to the chakras. Okay? And this is ancient. This is stuff worth 5,000 years old. This is before Jesus, okay? And we know, again, that there are energy wheels that are actually ganglion cells, which are mind cells, in these locations. Okay? And the upper chakras are where the energy is creative. And this is what's called grounding down here. Okay? So what's right in the middle is the heart chakra. Okay? And then at the top is the, see there, my mind just lost it. What chakra is that? Crown chakra. Okay? So all that means is the energy from those two sources intermingle and work together. And the heart is the communicator of God's love. The language of God is love, which is really no thing. Okay? So if I'm working with heart-mind, which means I listen to my heart before I listen to my mind. Because my mind is of the world and has been programmed by the world. My heart is of God, and there's an automatic program there of who I am. So that's where co-creation comes from, spirit. So they have to intermingle so that I'm dealing on a physical level with a spiritual or a universal code, predetermined to run my life happily and with everything I need to thrive. And the word thrive is what we're looking at, okay? So how do I do that? I get the two of them together. So, see, the keys are all right in this. Let's go, brother.
I like this other one.
We're the brain and the heart nestling together. That's nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
See, you just let things go. Spirit knows. Okay? So, what we are in that process. Now, the heart has a different language than the mind does. The mind is actually run by the ego. And the ego's language is the world's language. And generally it has to work in love or fear. And the heart works in love, so generally what does the ego work in? Fear. So it's learning to mitigate or learning to get that together and listening to the love language first. And the brain is full of neuron structure. There are more structures in our brain. There's the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex and cortex and pineal gland and amygdala gland and this and that. And they're all there designed to do different things for us. The amygdala gland is there to make us angry. Isn't that nice to know? And all you have to do is get upset, boom, there it goes. And the adrenaline goes and you're ready to fight anyone. All you have to do is hear somebody say something that you don't like. And there's all these parts of us that are here, and here is where spirit is, okay? So it's really learning to get those two together. Now, has anybody ever had a teenager? Can you get them to do anything?
You can. My teenager does stuff.
Their brains are scrambled.
Yeah.
And they have to go through a period of learning to get to the other side and become human beings. Science really knows the prefrontal cortex doesn't develop until like 21 or 22. Okay, it's a scientific fact. So how come it doesn't? Because it's not cooked in to the language of what we call common sense, which is love. So do you understand that we must work through that reluctance of the ego mind to give up? And anytime we start on a spiritual path, it's going to start a fight. Now, we're going to look at different ideas of meditation, because meditation is one of those things. And study and reading, and I don't know about you, but I don't know how many courses I've been through. I don't know how many books I've read. I don't know how many things I've said I'm going to do that I didn't do. Agreed? I mean, let's be honest. Because I wasn't ready to do what was necessary to make number 4 work. And the problem is the ego wants us to give up. Anybody ever get tired? Did you ever get angry? Maybe getting tired is just to keep us from moving to that next level. Maybe getting angry is that distraction that takes us over here. So there's always these things to work through. Now, I am told, I really don't know much about horses, but a horse has to be, I don't like the word broken, but it has to be acclimated to somebody riding it. Okay? And what do you have to do? Somebody has to get on with cutting the thing. Okay? I shouldn't say it that way, but anyway, somebody has to get on the horse and get the horse to slow down and relax. And you can't do it until it's a certain age. So what has to happen? And in the parlance of the conversation of people in the horse business, people that work at overcoming with love, but most people work with control. So they're saying, I am going to take control of this animal, and the way to do it is hold it down until it gives up. So we as human beings have to be held down in a spiritual nature until we give up and turn it over. You get the idea? This is why it's so difficult in our world. Anybody ever tried to go on a diet? I think I tell people I've lost and gained at least 1,000 pounds. And when you give it up, it's funny, it just goes away. So it's the same thing we're doing here. Okay? How do you become a person who's aware? How do you become somebody that has overcome the ego's mind? It's staying here until the mind changes. Part of, and I'm going to talk about some of the things Madeline and I have been through just to give you some ideas. But we were part of, we've both been initiated in a Kriya Yoga. And Brother Gene Davis was the initiator. And this is from Paramahansa Yogananda. As we journey along the spiritual path, or let's call it the God path, we meditate and contemplate to gain the strength and grace to rise above the frantic chase of ego-driven pursuits. Anybody agree? Anybody agree it's frantic? Can be when we let things go. And it says, in doing so, we discover a more profound peace and purpose. Our spiritual nature begins to shine, and our creative imagination flourishes. Desires aligned with our true self, that programmed God self, manifest easily now, bringing prosperity that starts with health, vitality, loving relationships, and a clear mind. And how do you do it? Meditation. And continuing it until it changes the structure of your mind and things start happening spontaneously. And it's my experience, it's not something that happens overnight. It's something that we work toward, okay? Valerie does a very interesting thing. When she leads, and Terry does similar things, but it's slowing down, making a choice to be in your heart. Okay, can you make a choice to be in your heart? Yes. You just say, I'm in my heart. And that sounds crazy, but I'm in my heart. Because you are a creator with the essence of God, and when you speak, you create. So you just say in your mind, I'm in the heart of God. And then slow, why do we take a deep breath? Because the vagus nerve between the heart and the mind is connected by breath. So we take a deep breath and that happens. However, you need to do it over and over and over again until it's like, oh, okay. The example is any trade. How do you learn to be a carpenter? You practice carpentering until you learn how to pay. And then you become what's called a master carpenter. How do you become excellent at the voice singing? People spend years in study and working with coaches. And now some of us have natural talents. However, we learn to...
It still has to be developed.
It has to be
Doesn't matter
developed.
how much natural talent you have.
No, and it's
Without
over,
developing it,
over,
doesn't
and
matter.
over again.
Yes.
I've had a lot of people ask me when I was doing speaking, they would ask me, oh, I want to do what you do, how to become a speaker. I'd say, speak any place you can, okay? And so the only way to learn to do something is do it. What would be the most valuable skill to learn in your life, if this is true? Connecting with my original being. Going back to who I am. Returning to the essence of the Father. And that's in every religion you can speak of. Okay? So how do you do it? Meditate. Okay? Now. And see, where have I got up here? Okay. Now, see, next week we're going to talk food, thoughts, words, and actions, and we're going to do a little bit more. But right now, the key is learning to meditate and do it long enough and successfully enough that you don't have to worry about it. Okay? And it's really making a decision to do it. Now, one of the things I'm realizing, we have spent a lot of time. This whole organization is set around the words in the music that Larry has put in are all words that amplify these ideas. They're absolutely beautiful. And they're a succession of words that we sing every week. Okay? So it's learning to maybe take some of those words home and use them in my day-to-day thought. Maybe, I don't know how to do this, but some of us can take that recording home and play it in the house during the week. Okay? But surrounding myself with things that are of that nature on those words. Other things that influence us. The silence. Silence is an important part of the process. And it's learning how to make the mind silent. Now, I will tell you that this feels to be almost impossible. And how do I stay on one thought? Because in the beginning, the mind will not let you do that. Okay? And it's one of the reasons that I hesitated Probably not been talking about it for 10 years to do a meditation class, but I've really been reluctant to do that because there's so many ways to do meditation, and everybody has a different feeling. Everybody has a different way. Everybody has a different path to those ideas. Okay? But you need to find a way for you. Now, no matter who we are, the only way to do it is do it. I'm going to keep saying that over and over again. So that and the idea behind it becomes a natural habit. Anybody here brush your teeth? You brush your teeth. There's no question you brush your teeth, and if you don't, you feel yucky. So what do? Every morning, you meditate. Now, not everybody meditates well in the morning, so maybe you do it at night. Maybe you do it in the morning and night. Maybe you do it morning, lunch, and night. But it's up to you to put that together, not to have somebody to tell you. See, and this is what's behind this. There's also a lot of other possibilities, okay? Now, I'm ahead of myself here. Go to the next slide, just for kids. Okay? What have we got here? Don't worry over things. Always by prayer. Anybody agree something about worry is what? Fear. So when I worry, I'm actually creating what I don't want, which is one of the ironies. Okay? Now we're dealing with a political situation and everybody's creating fear and worry. And what's the best way to separate a group of people? Fear. And you have to demonize other people in order to separate people. And what's an anti-spiritual idea? Because we are not separated, we are one. Okay? So the idea is, don't worry. John Doe doesn't like me. Okay, thank you. The next door neighbor, whatever it is, thank you, I appreciate you, I love you. Isn't it wonderful that you think that way? Okay? On to the next idea. Those who delight in the law of the Lord and who meditate on his law day and night. And the law is, all there is God. Right? God is in everything. I am part of God and I can create like God. Wouldn't that be great to think only that? So what do you meditate on? Bingo! Okay? Next. But be still and know that I am God. May I put that inelegantly? Shut up and sit down. Because we want to talk. We want to talk. We want to think. By the way, thinking is talking. Okay? And thinking keeps the mind busy so that it can't get into the more, I want to use the word sidereal, I don't know why, but universal thoughts that are in the brain. They're already there for you to solve your problems. Then, do not conform to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. By the pattern of the world is what? Fear, folks. Yes? And then we go on. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is good, pleasing, and perfect will. I've had people say, well, how would God's will do that? I don't know, somebody did it. Because God is everywhere present. Okay? So there's no answer to that question, because everybody's life is their belief and their experience. Okay? And there's been a lot of that conversation the last week. I won't go there. Okay. So there it is. Biblical. Now, next, we might as well go to the next one. Okay, meditation ideas to investigate. The key to this is to understand that to create the energy, if I can use that terminology, in your mind structure, there are many ways to do that that have been shared throughout history. There is one missing, which I'll make sure I cover. But and this is my path, and this is things that Madeline and I have done. Okay? There are, where are we? Okay? Audio technology. New world today, they call it binaural programming. Okay? Larry's familiar with it. And it's putting a different frequency in this ear than you put in this ear, and they combine together to create a different frequency in your brain. Everybody good? Now, there are four basic, actually five, but four basic mind energies. There's beta, which is us right now. Okay? There's alpha, which is the kind of in between, which is lower. Then we get into theta, and then we get to delta. Delta is out cold, so to speak. Okay? Alpha and theta is when we're open to the ideas of the universe, and we can be aware of and program ourselves. Okay? So if I listen to things that create alpha and theta and delta in my brain is changing to its original conception. Now that's the idea. Okay? However, I'm sharing it with you for you to investigate if it's part of your path. Okay? And that website happens to be the one that I've been on for 9 years. Okay? So, has it worked? Huh? Why am I here? Okay. So the idea is there are many paths to the top. And what is the top? Awareness. So you can use audio technology. And in today, I don't know about you, but my email box is full of people giving me things that are the sound of God that I can listen to for 10 minutes. Anybody getting that? It's full of it now. All you have to do is go on Google and find out. But it's up to you to find out. See, it's your path, not mine. Next, centering prayer, Christian meditation. Centering prayer is part of what Valerie does in her class. Centering prayer is simply an opening statement in our church. On morning at 6 o'clock, we open with the daily word. We sit quietly for 30 minutes, and then we close with the Lord's Prayer. That's centering prayer. Okay? Now, centering prayer is a whole class that takes you slowly up to understanding meditation. And there's a big group of them here in, where am I? Austin. Okay? So look it up. We tried to put it in, but didn't. And maybe you'll want to bring it in. Okay? Pat Barnett, by the way, is the individual that brought it to us years ago. Okay? Next, Kriya Yoga, which is the CSADavis.org. Kriya Yoga is the Hindu, if you will, Paramahansa Yogananda, and that is a form of meditation. And it's a very classic, do this, do that, do this. And most of it is breathing. Those of you that have studied Dr. Joe Dispenza, he is a proponent of it and teaching it and getting amazing results in the corporate world and the universal world. Charging $3,000, by the way, to do it. But it's there, okay? And that particular organization, I already told me we can wind up with more than one website. Yeah? So have fun. Maybe you can look into them all. See, I'm asking you to investigate. And if you're used to something, go back and do it. But do it every day. Next, mindfulness meditation, which is Buddhist, they are everywhere. You can go away for a weekend and learn mindful meditation. That's good. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful organization. Okay? Now, all you have to do is go into Amazon, folks, and put in whatever you want. You wouldn't believe what's there when you type in meditation. Every cognitive thing you can think of. Now, for me, keep it simple. And if it's creating, in other words, it should be effective after a few weeks or a month. But it's up to you to do it. And anybody agree it's easy to forget things? Or to roll over in bed and go to sleep? And see, it's putting a schedule together and doing it. Okay? Oh, by the way, YouTube too. So it's all there. And what it means is, I am committed to my life and what I'm producing in my life what I'm passing on to the next generations, who I'm helping, and why am I here. Getting clear about why I am here. And it's all part of this conversation. And it all goes back to, we are co-creators with God, and the question is, what am I creating? And see, you have, we're sharing the tools with you, but is a carpenter any good if he doesn't know how to hit with a hammer? Okay. Okay? We're going to take a breath. Okay. What's next, by the way? Time? We got a lot more to cover. Yes.
I thought it was really interesting on the chakra chart that the crown chakra, it says I understand. It doesn't say I think or I consider, it says I
And
understand.
it doesn't say I feel. And understanding is, oh, all I have to do is be here. Oh, look at that. I love him. He said that, but that's okay. It's totally contrary to the training of the world. So that's why it's like training a horse to start over again. And I keep looking for an analogy, some sort of a metaphor, for myself to understand it and to share that with you. That it's nobody's issue except mine to overcome my inertia to not do. Okay? Now, what are the outcomes? Paul says peace, joy, happiness, love. They even talk about health and wellness. They don't talk about mental health, but that's part of it. So it's all there in the Bible. It's been there for years. And here we are today, and guess what? Science is now proving all this stuff. There are people out there that are getting PhDs in psychiatry that are now talking about what's done here and applying it and earning all kinds of money doing it. It's crazy. Now, it's not crazy because they're sharing an idea. But do you understand you have it in you to do that? And if to be is up to me. Okay? And see, that sounds cold. But me is God. If it is to be, it's up to me and God. Okay, so I'm finished. Anybody else have anything else about? The word understand, and that's our word, daily word today, this month. It's really understanding. It's not faith, it's not belief, it's not anything other than understanding I am a child of God, and God is ever present, and I have the ability to bring that into my life and create a lifestyle of God. So thank you. I love you.